I don't know what's just happened, but the channel just increased by 1,000 subscribers in 2 days. So hello to all of you new subscribers. Thank you guys for jumping on board, by the way, just so you know. That's a word we use here in Australia, guys. It means guys and girls and boys and girls and females and men and that stuff. Yeah. Anyway, big shout out today to my friend Abe Mooring, who has inspired me with this channel to make the channel and to do other things which I think have really helped me in life. And that is, one of those is to search out and find mentors that help me. And one of those mentors that has really helped me, and I recommend you have a look at some of his videos on YouTube, is Jim Rohn. Now, Jim's actually dead now. He died quite a long time ago, but his messages live on. And I personally have gained so much of them, so I wanted to share his name with you, and I'll put some links in the description to some of his videos that I think will help you in life. And to be honest, that's a big part of the reason why I started this channel. I just wanted to help others to achieve and be the best that they could be. Now, I know that many of you on this channel have contacted me, and honestly, in a lot of ways, you're extremely successful people. You've done great things. A lot of you are engineers, a lot of you are big thinkers, and it's awesome to see. Keep those emails coming, by the way. If you want to request certain videos and you have information you want to share with me, keep them coming. And I do read every one of the emails. I might not respond to every single one of them because there's quite a few, but I'll definitely read all your emails. I've made quite a few videos about Toyota over the last 6 months. In fact, a lot of you have emailed me to say you agree with what I think about Toyota, and I appreciate that support. Now, Toyota has just done something that is controversial, but I've got to say, I think I'm with them on this. I know some of you will unsubscribe from the channel. For me, because I've said this, it happens every time I say something of this nature, but I'm willing to accept it because I think it's for the greater good. Toyota has posted a new ad pushing back against the union EV tax credit. And they are the only automaker opposed to the Biden administration's proposal to give extra incentives to union-made electric vehicles. Now, as you know, I am for manufacturing in America, big time. It is extremely important to keep manufacturing. I'll make a new video about all the reasons we need manufacturing in the United States. We need it in Australia as well. We need it in Europe. We need manufacturing to stay. We need to keep those skills all over the world. We can't just have them all go to China. That's not a good solution long term. So that's important. However, Biden's partisan support of unions and the way that unions are essentially funding the Democrats, I don't think is a good thing. So I agree with Toyota 100% on this. Now, what I want to know in the description below, before you unsubscribe, if you do you agree personally with this union EV tax credit? Do you think this is a good use of the money? Do you think that the Democrats should be supporting companies that are basically financing their operations? Is that a good move? I don't think it is, but I want to know what you think in the comment section below. Now, Stephen Loveday from Cleantechnica reported on this issue. He said, "We were already aware that Toyota wasn't happy with the Biden administration's goal to give extra EV tax credit incentives to union-made vehicles. The Japanese automaker joins other impacted companies, such as Tesla and Volkswagen, which also don't agree, in voicing its opposition to the proposed legislation. However, Toyota North America has taken it a step further, running an ad in major publications, including the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and more. As you're probably aware, Democrats' goal is to provide a larger US federal EV tax credit than the one that currently exists, though the legislation focuses on a larger dollar amount for EVs produced by unionized workers. Union-made vehicles will get an additional $4,500 US credit if the legislation is passed, according to the Automotive News. And the ad says, what does this say to the American auto worker who has decided not to join a union? It says that their worth is worth $4,000 US because they made that choice. What does this say to the American consumer? It says that if they want to buy an electric vehicle not made by Ford, General Motors, or Chrysler, they will have to pay an additional $4,500 US, which is about $100 more per month over a 4-year period. I agree with Toyota. I think this is a way to negatively publicize EVs. I don't think it's a positive move overall. Do I agree with a tax credit? Absolutely. I'm not saying that at all. I 100% agree with a tax credit for EVs in America. It has to be done. It should have been done years ago. I know they already had one in place. They should have made it cover Tesla vehicles and General Motors made vehicles. I mean, Tesla and General Motors have obviously exceeded the previous tax credit of 200 vehicles, I believe it was. They went over that number. That means when you buy a Tesla or a Volkswagen or a General Motors EV, you don't get the tax credit. So this should have been changed a long time ago. But anyway, Toyota has gone so far as to request that Congress set politics aside here and make an effort to offer an equal EV tax credit for all EVs that are assembled by US workers, regardless of whether or not they are organized. Now, it is ironic, isn't it, that Toyota are now whining about EVs tax credits for EVs. They don't even make EVs, and they're whining about the tax credits. It's bizarre. Now, Tesla hasn't said much about this. Elon did mention that he doesn't agree, but obviously Toyota has gone further to lobby against this than Tesla has, even though Tesla is clearly affected by this issue massively. I mean, if you buy a non-Tesla vehicle, you get $7,500 in tax credit. If you buy Tesla, you get nothing. It's crazy because 3 of the top 10 most American-made vehicles are Tesla vehicles. It's insane. Now, this is what I think the incentive should be. It should be based on how American-made the vehicle is, right? So if say, the car is 70% American-made, which is, I think, the highest American-made EV is about 70% of it's American, then I think that should get the full rebate. If it's, say, 20% American, which some cars made by some union companies are, by the way, then it should have less of an incentive. To me, it should be more about how American-made it is. Why do I say this? I say this because it's a very, very real concern that eventually all cars will be made in China. And when China have the ability to control the entire market, well, you can see that's a bad thing. That just can't happen. So the proposal, which is headed up by Michigan Democrat Representative Dan Kildee, aims to push the EV tax credit up to $12,500 for EVs built in a factory that is unionized. However, interestingly, Automotive News explains that after 5 years, only EVs assembled in the US would be eligible for the $7,500 base credit. That's a good thing. Does this mean that EVs not assembled in the US will be eligible as long as the company is unionized? There are still some grey areas, as the proposal seems to have changed a number of times. One of the reasons the proposal has changed a number of times is because the Democrats don't seem to be able to agree on what should be in the proposal, which has led to skits on Saturday Night Live showing different people, different Democratic leaders arguing with each other because that's what they've been doing about this bill. In addition to Toyota's ad, a group of 25 ambassadors representing many countries across the globe are going to bat against the proposed legislation. The European Union, along with other countries, shared that the legislation, if implemented, would violate international trade rules, disadvantage hardworking Americans employed by these automakers, and undermine the efforts of these automakers to expand the US EV consumer market to achieve the administration's climate goals. My personal belief is that if Donald Trump had have decided that unions should get more money for American-made cars, then people would be up in arms screaming about it. But it's not Donald Trump, it's someone else, so no one's really saying anything about it. Finally, the American International Automobile Dealers Association also put out a statement of opposition calling the tax credit discriminatory. The association asked President Biden to stop playing politics and start working for all Americans. I agree 100%. Its CEO Cody Lusk said, the inclusion of this $4,500 UAW only tax credit is an insult to the 673,000 Americans who work in international nameplate manufacturing plants and dealerships. Far from building back better, this provision makes it more difficult for Americans to buy green vehicles, as it can only be applied to a handful of the more than 60 electric vehicles available for sale today. That is the key issue. It can only be applied to a handful of the more than 60 electric vehicles available for sale today. Now, in addition to this, the World Trade Organization has stated that this bill will actually violate global trade agreements, which is another interesting point that maybe the Biden administration are yet to consider. Now, in my view, this is a perfect example of divisive politics and inequality. This makes no sense to divide American workers. If you are here, or if you're in America working to build a product that would be purchased and used in America, that work should be treated equally. If it's all taking place in America, for Americans, by Americans, that is a good thing for Americans. We should incentivize that equally. Now, as Tim Colujo says on Inside EVs, it takes an especially confused administration to put Tesla and Toyota on the same side of a piece of EV legislation. And isn't that funny? Now, I'm going to point out before I finish this video, the Republicans aren't really supporting this at all. In general, some of them are, but most of them aren't. They're just idiots because, to be honest, the Republicans aren't idiots. I'm not saying that, but they're idiots on this, on not supporting the concept of increasing EV subsidies for EVs made in America. Now, to me, Republicans should be about having cars made in America. That's part of what they stand for. And it seems as though they are asleep at the wheel on EVs in general recently. I don't know why, because surely they're smart enough to know that EVs are the future by 2030. EVs will be ubiquitous. Everyone will be buying one. You pretty much won't be able to buy anything else because that's what customers want. So surely they must know that if China makes them and sells in America, that's not really good for American jobs. So supporting American jobs is what I'm for. And whichever party does that, great. I'm all for it. I honestly feel here, in bringing you this video, I feel like a bit of a traitor for agreeing with Toyota on something they say. Because in general, Toyota doesn't support EVs. They don't want them to succeed because it's not good for their company. So they're basically bashing EVs at any chance they get. And yet, I find myself supporting them in this marketing campaign they've got. I don't know what's happening, guys. Tell me, is something going wrong here? Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for subscribing and liking. Let me know what you think about this bill in the comment section below. Do you think that the Biden administration is right? Or do you think they're wrong? I really am interested to know here how you feel about it. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.